Happy Wednesday, everyone. We got a cool work set coming your way. It's gonna be a fun time. This could be a one-time through, but there's some big numbers up on that board. So before we start talking about that, let's talk about our warm-up. Our warm-up is gonna be a lot of leg prep. It's gonna just get things balanced out, plus working on some balance and tapping into our hamstrings a little bit today. So we'll have some fun with that. We have an overhead good morning for 5, windmill for 3 to 5 a side, dumbbell front scale raise for 5 a side, dumbbell side scale for 5 a side, and you'll hit that for 2 rounds. From there, we're going to take some time just to work on some bridge work. Single leg RDL for 3 to 5 a side. We're going to do a single leg bridge march for 30 seconds into our bridge pullback for 3 at 5 seconds. And we'll hit that for 2 rounds, priming up those hamstrings, working on some balance on that single leg work, and then tackling our little practice round. The practice round, I'll have up on the workout description. There'll be a couple different variations of that. You can pick and choose what you want to do there to get yourself ready for the work set. The workout today is 1 time through. It is 100 lunges. Ooh, yep, 100 total count alternating lunges into 30 sumo deadlift high pulls with the ones, or not with one side, sorry. You'll alternate every 5 reps. So you'll do 5, 5 up till 30. You'll do 30 burpees, and then you tackle 30 more sumo deadlift high pulls, alternating every 5 reps. And you're going to finish off with 100 lunges to tap out that work set. So we have this little climb the ladder to the burpee, climb it back to the lunge. So it's going to be a cool little work set. Let's get you fired up, ready to go. We'll see where today takes us. All right, let's start our day off together, just warming our body up a little bit. We'll take the arms up big and tall. Did those handstands yesterday, so we'll reach over to one side, just opening up the side body. Reach it to the other side. Good, we'll clasp our fingers, press straight up to the sky, reach to one side, and then come back through, reach to the other side. Nice. We'll unclasp those fingers and forward fold all the way to the floor, touching those toes. We're gonna walk up the shins, we'll come down, framing the foot, we'll step back into our lizard. Inside hand's gonna lock the front foot in place, and we're gonna turn the torso to the outside hand. We'll come back to center, and then turn, and then back to center, and then turn, and back to center. Planting the hand, we'll step back into our down dog. Reaching those hips nice and high, we'll walk our heels down nice and slow, nice and gentle, working through that movement, waking up those feet. We'll come back into our plank, we'll step the other foot up, locking that front foot down, we're going to turn, we'll come back to center, turn, come back to center, and turn, and back to center. Planting that hand, we'll step that foot back, setting up in that nice down dog again, opening up that upper back, we'll walk those feet, nice and gentle, just stretching out the calves and the hamstrings from yesterday, gearing things up a little bit, coming back into our plank, pressing through the shoulders, tiptoeing those feet up, we'll roll ourselves up, big stretch, woo, little bend, down with those arms. Let's get you guys going. All right, pause the video if you'd like to take down some more gentle kind of warm up, some more lizard lunge, maybe some hip press and split. Who knows? But take that down, get yourself ready to go, and then come along. We're going to start warming up those legs. All right, our first exercise of the day is going to be an overhead good morning. So we've been using this a little bit more often to get the hinge going, challenging that overhead position as we're moving about the hip. So just a quick little recap again. I'm going to get my feet into that sumo stance, so a little bit wider, gives me a little bit more range and some comfort with the hip. And what we're going to initiate first is that hinge. So our good morning portion, we pull the hips back, keeping the knees soft. The feet are flat, and we hinge, feeling those hamstrings say hello. Keeping our way through that midfoot and that big toe down, we want to work on that nice smooth hinge through the body. But that's not all we're doing. We are also adding in the overhead position. So maintaining all those things that we just went through, we're going to add in one piece, which is that overhead position. So we work that same hinge, except we have to focus a little bit more tension on our shoulders and our arms. So this may limit how far you can hinge, and that's okay if you find that you're lacking a little bit of range of motion with that overhead position because we want to make sure we maintain that overhead position as we're doing that beautiful hinge. So listen to your body. We have to listen to both pieces, the hips and the shoulders on this one. So give it that time, show it that attention and the love, all right, because it's going to help pay off the dividends. After that, though, we're going to continue working on a little bit of hinge work and some overhead work as we set our shoulder overhead, and we're going to work on that pull and rotation at the low rib, taking this as far down as we can maintain position in our shoulder. So we want to focus on that armpit facing forward, maintaining that good position as we hinge, and only taking it as far as we can maintain this isolated position. So if you start feeling the shoulder rotating on its own to get more range down to the floor, just stop your range of motion, come back up slowly, and work to that edge again. You may find that as you do a few more reps or a couple rounds, that things start to open up a little bit more. Give yourself that time and see if it helps. Our next exercise is we're going to take a nice little tweak of a variation of a movement that we know and love. We're going to do a dumbbell front scale and a dumbbell side scale. So the only change to this is we're going to hold the dumbbell in the balancing leg. So we're going to hold that dumbbell on the same leg that's doing the standing and the balancing. The leg that's doing the lifting is going to be free. And from here we squeeze our glutes, we set our position through the upper body to hold the dumbbell still, and we work on that lift. So this is just going to give us a little bit more kind of sensory kind of feedback, maintaining a stronger upper body position, a tighter core, and a taller, tighter posture. So the key is that we're not moving that upper body. We're keeping it as still as we can and maintaining that good upper body position. Keeping that balancing leg solid and strong, we want to make sure our glutes are firing and we're using that hip and quad to lift the leg in the front scale. Now the next exercise is the side scale, and this one offers its own little piece of challenge as it normally does, but now with the dumbbell on the same side as the balancing leg, we really have to fight for that straight line of action. So foot, knee, hip, shoulder all in alignment, not tipping over with the dumbbell. So we're setting our upper body, we're maintaining good position, and we lift and then bring it down. Keeping the top of the foot pointing towards the front the entire time, so we're not rotating the hip as we lift the leg. The dumbbell is going to give you just a little bit more sensory kind of feedback, making sure that we're staying a little bit more engaged through the upper body, and we're going to use that as a good tool to focus on posture. All right? It doesn't have to be heavy, so if you have a bunch of different loadings at home, choose a moderate to light load for this one, just so you can just hold it, give that body that engagement it needs, but then still focus on the lower half. As a quick recap, we have our overhead good morning for 5, windmill for 3 to 5 per side, taking your time with those, dumbbell front scale raise for 5, and a dumbbell side scale for 5. 2 rounds of that just to prime things up, make sure things feel pretty good. Then we're going to charge up the hamstrings, get that body ready to go, and then get you into that nice one-time through chipper style. Our next phase is going to start really focusing on the hamstrings. We're going to get started with our single leg RDL. You can choose to load this if you'd like. If you're choosing to load this, you can hold the dumbbell or dumbbells in a multitude of places. So if I'm setting up for my RDL, I can choose to hold the dumbbell on the kickstand leg. I can choose to hold it by 2 bells in the middle to the front, and I can choose to hold it on the balancing leg. Neither of those positions are better or worse. They're just a little bit different and require the body to do a little bit different kind of engagement and balance as we take the body into that hinge. So experiment with all of them. See how you go with this movement, but first, before we start loading it too much, we want to focus on getting that good hinge pattern first. So I'm going to get myself set up, toe turned under into that kind of kickstand position. My hips are square to the front, nice and engaged through here, and my ribs are set so that I'm nice and strong from hip crease to top of head. I am going to pretend like I'm holding a dumbbell right now, so one of those 3 places, and I'm going to pull my hip back, and that's what causes my body to hinge. And I'm going to take my hands to the knee and stand that per side, waking things up, getting that hamstring fired up, and then we're gonna lay on the floor. So with this next exercise, we're gonna continue firing up some single leg work. We're gonna get ourselves set up into our bridge position, but a little bit different. So my heels are just outside my fingers, and that's where I kind of want to keep them. I'm gonna bring my arms straight up, so reaching towards the sky, shoulders slightly active and protracted away from the floor, so I'm always reaching to the ceiling. I'm gonna pull my ribs in, pressing those fingers up. I squeeze into my bridge, and I'm always gonna reach my fingers and always pull those ribs in. Now the march piece comes from lifting a leg and putting it down. Lifting the leg and putting it down. We're always reaching, we're always pulling the ribs in, and it's the legs that march back and forth, one at a time, working on that nice kind of single leg balance position. We're gonna do that for 30 seconds of just nice and smooth back and forth marches. We're not looking for max reps, but we are looking to give ourselves a momentary pause in that single leg bridge position. Put it down, switch sides. Little beat, switch sides. Just working back and forth, nice and steady. Then we're gonna pull it all together. So we're gonna bring our hands down to the floor, pressing them into the floor a bit to get the chest open. We'll pull the ribs in. We're gonna lift into our bridge, shift our weight to the balls of the feet, and then pull the heels back towards the glutes. They're not gonna move anywhere, but you're gonna feel that engagement through the hamstrings and perhaps that lower glute. So our goal here again is not to pull so hard that we cramp our hamstring. The goal is to pull and curl that foot back. It's not gonna move, mind you, but we're pulling it back to feel that engagement and that contraction of the hamstring. So take your time with that, listen to your body. We're doing 3 5-second holds today, just to kind of bring everything together. Nothing too crazy, but just enough to bring that body, waking up those hamstrings and pulling everything together after that single leg work. As a quick little recap, this little triplet here, we have our single leg RDL for 3 to 5 a side, loaded or unloaded, single leg bridge march for 30 seconds, and then a bridge pullback for 3 at 5-second holds. Gonna hit that 2 rounds, gonna work through that work set, just getting things kind of fired up, saying hello, and then we're gonna move into our practice round. Now that those hamstrings, that body's kind of heated up a little bit, we're gonna move into a little bit more dynamic work to get you guys ready for the work set. Pause the video, take that down, come join me for the movements of the workout. All right, we've made it to the practice round, the work set coming our way. We have 3 movements we have to work on today. So in our practice round, I'll have a breakdown at the bottom of the workout description, so check that out. You can use them, you can make your own up, have some fun with it, see what you need to work on. But we're gonna go through the movements, we're gonna give you a couple options for each and see where it takes us. So our lunge, very straightforward. I'm really not picky about forward or back. It is good to experiment with both, but depending on how comfortable you are with the lunge, I want you to choose the one that's gonna give you the best possible position in the workout. So maybe if you struggle with the forward lunge, practice it a little bit in our practice round, and then do the back lunge in your work set. So regardless of forward or back, the lunge has the same positioning that we're looking for. We squeeze our glutes, we get our feet kind of in a squat stance so we have some width and balance. I step and I lower down. So I'm trying to keep that knee over top of the heel, back knee under the hip, and my torso nice and stacked, shoulder, hip, and knee. And then I come back in. And I'm gonna walk that, or not walk it, but I'm gonna step it back and forth, alternating, nice and steady. So I lower, stand tall, step lower, stand tall. Backwards is the same thing. The only catch is I step back, lower down. So some people find that the back lunge is a little harder for coordination, but it's easier to find that nice stacked vertical shin in the front because you can see how far back you have to step. So sometimes that could be a really good helping hand to get you to that good body position that we need for that front lunge. Another option for this lunge is our standing lunge drill. So we have our feet apart in our squat stance. We step and step. I square up my hips to the front. I'm going to work on the lowering having to worry about the stepping faction of the lunge. So the dynamic piece of the finding your footwork, we take that out of the equation and we just work on the strength and the movement of the up and down. Now if you'd like to work on that, the only thing we'd have to do for that would be just alternate every 5 reps to make sure that we're getting both legs worked on. So a few different options for our lunge. I'll have a couple other ones on the bottom there for you guys, but those are some really nice lunge options, a nice opportunity to play and see where you want to go to further that lunge ability. Our next exercise is our dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull. So with the dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull, we want to keep this relatively moderate to light loading. We're going to stand over top of the dumbbell. Now I'm going to turn to the side and do a couple deadlifts only just so you can see my body position, because the body position is the same. We just get a little bit more explosive with the hips and the upper body in the sumo deadlift high pull. But our start position is this nice deadlift position, our nice sumo deadlift. Chest is up, hips are down a bit so we can get to the dumbbell, and I stand opening up the hips and the knees. I take it back down to where I feel comfortable, be it just below the knee, on the floor, or somewhere in between, depending on you in terms of your range of motion. Our back position is everything. That's our primary focus. So now with the sumo deadlift high pull, we do that same execution of the deadlift, except we drive through those legs and hips to get some speed on the dumbbell, and then we guide the dumbbell into this high and outside position. So the elbow is going to come back and up into this nice high position, and then we guide it back down. We're not holding it up here. So we take it down, we push through the legs, and we come back to the hip. We take it down, push through the legs, come back to the hip. So if you need to pause here for a moment, that's fine. We just don't want to hang out up here for a while, taxing the shoulder for holding a load in kind of that compromised position. So we take it again, push through the legs, come down. If you'd like to smooth it out, it looks a little bit like this. We push, smooth, push, smooth, maintaining that good back position the entire time. So take some time with this, really get a good flow going with this. If you'd like to practice a few deadlifts into the sumo deadlift high pull, please do so. It's a great way to get that leg hip open and then build the speed from there to maintain good position throughout. Our last exercise that we have to play with today is our burpee. So we have a few variations of the burpee. So the full burpee, what we're looking at, hands coming to the floor, chest and thigh touch the floor, and we push up and get that nice dynamic push. We can also come down, step back, and step back up, or any combination of those two. So if you'd like to jump back, step back, jump up, whatever gets you in the best position possible, that's what I want you to do for yourself today. Now a key thing to think about in this movement is keeping the elbows stacked over top of the wrist and keeping our shoulders back like our humeral glide to knee push-up drill. The other piece of the puzzle, we want to keep those elbows at that 45 degree, because what that's going to do is it's going to give us a lot of stability through the chest, through the delt, through the tricep, for that shoulder to get maximum press out of that position. So a few key points to keep in mind: good core position, elbow over the wrist, and that nice set shoulder. Now another option is our squat thrust. We did these the other day on Monday in our work set in those AMRAPs. So what we're going to do is we're going to hinge, plant our hands. Now the shoulders stay over the hands as I jump into a plank and jump back in. I have super strong arms as I do that, and I have another variation where I set the arms, step, and back up. I can do any combination of those two things. I can do whatever I need to do to make sure I'm hitting that good plank and jumping in efficiently with flat feet. Again though, something to keep in mind, the entire time we're doing that squat thrust, the shoulder stays over the hand, the upper body is relatively isolated, and it's the legs that do the work in terms of jumping in and out. The arms are there to stabilize, to allow the legs to do their work. After the burpees, we flow through the dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull again, and then we finish off with a nice steady state of lunges. So that second set of sumos are going to be a little tougher because of the burpees and the tricep work, and then those lunges are going to be a little tuckering at the end because those hips are going to be a little bit tired from those sumo deadlift high pulls. So I want you guys to have fun with this one, you guys. Yes, it's one time through, but you can't really sprint it. So I want you to find a pace for the lunges that you can just keep moving. A pace of the dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull you can maintain good position with. Remember, you get to switch every 5, so it's going to save your arms. We want to make sure that if we need to take a break, we break them up well so we can keep our body moving solid. I hope you guys enjoy this work set, you guys. It's going to be a fun little climb the ladder, climb down the ladder. It's going to be a good time. But as always, work for quality, have a ton of fun, and we'll see you tomorrow for some more fun stuff. Bye, you guys. See you soon.